Some stories don't scream, they don't chase you, they don't announce themselves with blood or shadows. They wait. They live quietly in voicemail recordings, half-deleted messages, police reports no one rereads. They sit in the background of ordinary lives until something small reminds you they never really ended. Tonight, I'm going to tell you 3 stories. Each one comes from a different place, different people, different years, but they all share one thing. They begin after the danger was supposed to be over. This is 3 nights that refused to stay buried. Welcome to Mr. Nighttora, a place where stories don't fade when the danger ends, where every mystery lingers and every sound carries fear. Here, I bring you true and terrifying tales, unexplained events, and dark stories from around the world. Stories hidden in silence, waiting to be remembered. If you love horror, suspense, and the unknown, subscribe, like, and share, because the next story might stay with you forever.
I was 21 when I realized fear doesn't always feel like panic. Sometimes it feels like being noticed. I was a senior at a small private college, the kind with ivy on the buildings, donor names carved into stone. I worked hard. I needed to. My scholarship depended on it, and so did everything that came after. The class was an upper-level elective, 12 students, seminar style, no hiding. The professor was respected, published, polite, invisible in a way that made him seem safe. But it wasn't him who made my stomach tighten every Tuesday afternoon. It was his assistant, Evan, only a few years older than us, late 20s, soft-spoken, always smiling like he was grateful to be included. He ran discussion sections, graded papers, liked to say things like, "I remember how stressful this part of life is." At first, it felt comforting. Then came the emails. Not inappropriate, not explicit, just frequent. "Good insight today. You explain yourself clearly. Have you considered grad school?" I told myself it was mentorship until office hours started stretching. Doors closed, lights dimmed, questions drifted away from the syllabus. He never touched me. That was the worst part, because when I tried to explain the feeling to friends, I had nothing solid to point to. No sentence I could quote, no moment I could circle. Just the sense that when he looked at me, he was inventorying something. One afternoon, I forgot my notebook. When I came back, my chair had been moved closer. I stopped going to office hours after that. My grades dipped. His feedback changed. Short, cold, red ink instead of comments. By midterms, I was panicking. So I went back. That was the day he told me he kept copies of all our emails. "Just in case," he said, smiling. That was also the day I realized he knew exactly how trapped I was. I switched majors the following semester, lost my scholarship, transferred schools. I thought that was the end, until 2 years later, when I received an email from an address I didn't recognize. No subject line, just one sentence. "Office hours are still open." Fear doesn't always come from what someone did. Sometimes it comes from what they could still do, and sometimes it comes from places where no one is supposed to be watching at all.
When my brother died, I moved into his house. It was temporary, that's what I told everyone. The house sat at the edge of a rural road, surrounded by trees dense enough to swallow sound. No neighbors close enough to see lights, no cell service inside. He'd lived there alone, which meant no one could tell me what was normal. The first week passed quietly. The second week, the house started responding. It began with noises that followed patterns. Footsteps only when I stood still, pipes only when I turned the lights off. A single knock on the wall behind my bed, always at 2:17 a.m. I checked the wiring, the plumbing, the foundation. Nothing explained why the sounds stopped when I spoke out loud. One night, half joking, I said, "I hear you." The knock came back immediately, twice. Things escalated slowly. Lights turning on by themselves, cabinets left open in the morning,
the smell of cigarette smoke drifting through rooms where no one had ever smoked. Then I found the notebook hidden behind the water heater, old, warped from moisture, my brother's handwriting, page after page of dates, times, notes. It answers when acknowledged. Do not respond after the third night. It learns voices. The last entry was written the night he died. It sounds like me now. That night, I heard my brother call my name from the hallway. Perfectly, I didn't answer. The knock came anyway, 3 times. Some things want to be recognized. Others want to be remembered. And some only exist once you realize they've been following you all along.
I drive for a living. Long hours, late nights, back roads most people avoid. It was around 1:40 a.m. when I saw him, standing on the shoulder. No jacket, no phone. I almost didn't stop, but he smiled like he was relieved. He gave me an address, 15 minutes away. Quiet voice, polite. Too polite. He never blinked. As we drove, I noticed things that didn't line up. His reflection didn't match his movements. The windows fogged, except where he sat. The temperature dropped, no matter how high I turned the heat. Halfway there, he asked, "Do you believe people can arrive somewhere before they left?" I laughed nervously. That's when he said my name. I hadn't told him. The address didn't exist. When I pulled over, the back seat was empty, but the seatbelt was buckled. When I checked my dash cam later, there was audio, just breathing, and one sentence whispered directly into the microphone. "Thank you for slowing down." 3 stories, 3 nights, none of them ended with answers, because real fear rarely does. If you're listening alone, take a moment. Notice the room, the sounds you've been ignoring, and if something feels slightly off, don't panic, just don't answer it. Have you ever faced something you still can't explain, or experienced something truly terrifying? Share it with us in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to Mr. Nighttora so you stay connected to every chilling story, because fear doesn't end when the story does.